Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're jumping into a really radical idea about DNA. Forget the blueprint model for a second. We're exploring sources that suggest DNA is more like a cosmic barcode,
Yeah.
an access key controlling information flow for life itself. Our sources argue there's a major paradox here. The genome just doesn't seem complex enough to build an organism.
That's right. It's often called the paradox NC. Basically, the sheer complexity we see in life seems to, well, vastly outstrip the information density you would find just looking at the genome sequence. And if DNA isn't holding all the instructions, materially speaking, then we have to shift perspective. It's less pure physics, more maybe engineering design. We're looking for a computational kind of solution.
Right, like the instruction manual is missing huge chunks. So if DNA isn't the full set of directions, what's its job then? What is this barcode actually doing?
Well, the thinking is that the DNA's physical structure acts as a pseudo-random number, a PRN, and it has specific classification tags attached. It's not the instructions themselves, it's really just the identification key. Think of maybe a library book's catalog number. It's unique, tells you where the book is, but doesn't contain the story inside.
Okay, wait. If the key doesn't hold the info, where is all that intelligence, that operational data actually stored?
Yeah, good question. It grants the biological system, the organism, secure access. Access to what? To the vastly richer information processing and, interestingly, holographic storage capabilities of the physical universe itself. The source material actually gives this whole infrastructure a name, Caterus. So all living things are effectively users on this massive cosmic network, and they share access using a technique called code division multiple access, or CDMA. Very similar, conceptually, to how our mobile phones manage traffic.
Okay, CDMA on a cosmic scale. Wow. And if we run with this digital key idea, does that suddenly make sense of, biology's big mystery, all that junk DNA?
It potentially does, yes, because in this barcode view, that quote-unquote junk isn't junk at all. It's actually essential. It provides the very long, unique identification number, the PRN, that you need for reliable, secure access. It keeps your data separate from billions of other biological users on the network, the bits we call genes. Those are more like the classification tags guiding what kind of information is accessed. And interestingly, sometimes shorter identification codes are better because they allow for faster data transmission rates. That might actually explain that old puzzle, why some really complex organisms can have genomes that seem surprisingly simple or short compared to others. Higher bandwidth, maybe.
So life becomes this sort of collective information processing activity using this Caterus network.
Yeah.
But how do you maintain individuality? What stops two organisms with, say, identical twin DNA from messing with each other's signal?
The uniqueness of that DNA PRN is key. It secures a specific dedicated slice, or you could call it an account, within the universe's information resources. This unique, centrally managed account is what brings all the cells of one organism under unified control. It ensures only one designated user, the organism itself, can control its biological processes via that specific key.
And that structure, that kind of account system, that must have huge implications for aging, right? If every biological event or transaction is recorded to that account.
Exactly. The information that gets generated and recorded at the organism's unique account, it's non-erasable. It builds up. So aging, in this model, is effectively the operational limit. It's how much of that accumulated non-erasable history can still be effectively used for dynamic control before things get, well, clogged up or inefficient. And this is where ideas like caloric restriction might fit in. If you reduce the overall information influx, you slow down the rate at which that account history builds up, potentially extending the organism's functional lifespan.
Which brings us to cloning. That's always been a bit strange. If a clone has the exact same PRN key as its donor, what happens then? What information baggage does it carry?
Well, according to this theory, it doesn't get a fresh start. It doesn't open a new account. The clone, because it has the donor's identical key, gets immediately routed into the donor's existing mature account. So it inherits not just the genetics, but the donor's entire accumulated informational history, and critically, their effective biological age. This could directly explain why we often see premature aging, health problems, and developmental failures in clones. They're essentially trying to operate within an already established older information context, fighting against the donor's non-erasable history, as you will.
So thinking about this, what does this all mean for you listening? It suggests the real difference between living and non-living matter isn't just about chemistry or energy. It's about having the key, the secure connection to access and process information from this vast underlying infrastructure.
Right. And the model proposed, this Caterus infrastructure, it even suggests there's necessary hardware involved, including something quite startling, a kind of cosmic clock pulse generator, a continuous global synchronization and desynchronization process, supposedly operating across all biological systems at an absolutely incredible frequency, something like 10 to the 11 hertz.
Okay, final thought then. If, and this is a big if, but if our consciousness, our memories, our very life history are even partially stored out there, extracorporeally, making the human brain more like a terminal accessing data rather than a standalone computer storing everything, what new questions does that raise for you, especially about the information we accumulate over a lifetime? Even when that PRN access key gets closed at death, the theory says the information itself, that history, remains recorded in the universe's system. What happens to that non-erasable history once the user permanently logs off? What does that imply?